Hello, all my stamping friends. Welcome to another Technique Tuesday. I am Lisa Fulford, your creative coach. And if this is your first time joining me, then welcome to my channel. I have a cute technique. I've seen it in the past. I've seen a few of them done different ways. And so I am bringing my take on the technique. And so I hope that you will enjoy what you see and continue watching my future techniques. So let's get started with this. This is from the Spotlight on Nature. So I have that right here, and we're going to use the flower and of course the butterfly and then our words, dear friend. And this could be like a happy birthday or anything like that. We're going to use a little bit of our Wow White embossing powder with the Versamark ink. And then we're going to take our, this is the aqua painter. Here are our newer ones, but my old ones are still working. I've used this in the past using with blue inks and different things, and they do run clear even though it may stain the bristles. But anyway, I've got this older one here that I'm going to use just because it was handy and it already had the water in it. And then we're using this, it's a background you put on a neutral so that it will make this pop a little bit more. And so this is our basic gray background, and this is Highland Heather, and then our thick basic white for the card base, and then we have this piece on the pieces on the inside. This is done with just the Versamark ink, so that is just like a little watercolor on there. But that is what we have for that. And then let's see, we're going to do some little gems to spruce it up and make it glitzy. So it's the iridescent foil gems, and I love these. They come in different sizes, and they've got a little bit of purple and gold and different shimmers inside those, and so I really like those a lot. I'm trying to think of anything. Oh, and then we have some of our pretty pretty and pink ribbon, and I went ahead and tied my bow and trimmed that up to add to our front. Then we also are going to use some other colors. I don't know exactly if I'm going to do it exactly the same. So I've got some peach pie, pretty and pink, fresh Frisian Highland Heather, and then I'll also grab the Granny Apple Green. It's right here. So I don't really know for certain what colors that I'm going to use for this one, this card. I like to try to make them just a little bit different each time. So here are the colors in case you want to take a screenshot or something of them. So I don't know if I'm going to use all of them, but I'm going to use some of them anyway. And so turn on another light here, see if that helps a little bit. And I've got another one here. There we go. All right, so let me grab my overhead lights just a little bit because I can see that on the screen it's starting to roll now that I turned on all the other lights. So the ones that are overhead, I need to tone those down because it gives you a light noise in the camera. So let me take care of that real quick. There, I think that will help. All right, so we're also going to use our heat tool for this, and then I have my Highland Heather marker to do some splatter with. So we'll get started with our card. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm going to need. I've got a ruler here. I will measure and tell you the measurements. I forget what they were. I did this over a week ago, so I'm trying to, I just can't remember. So I will measure it off of my bits and pieces here. So I'm going to stack some of this up off to the side, give myself some room, and we'll take out my stamps here. I don't need that one. I don't know why I was grabbing that one. And then I need that one. Then I just have an extra one here that I cannot remember. So if anybody knows what stamp set this comes out of, please let me know. I don't know if you can see it better. I'm trying to make it where without the glare of the lamp. It's just some little speckles. And I got it out. I was making a card, put the stamp set away, and did not have that one in it, and I can't find it. That happens to me quite often, that I do things like that, and then it's like I have no clue where I have placed those things. And so I just keep it on my desk, and I've been using it. So I'm fairly certain it's not retired because I was using it before, but anyway, it's all good. We'll make it work. I'll put this on here. Just grabbing some blocks. These are the paper pumpkin blocks. They're nice to have. I've got a few of those. All right, so leave my card there so that we can see it. And we'll start with, I know that our card base is 8.5 by 5.5 scored at 4 1/4. I know that, so I'm gonna go ahead and fold this over and reinforce that crease. Okay. I went and visited my daughter and her cat, and for some reason there's cat hair on my workstation. And then we have 2 pieces of our Highland Heather, and one must just be slightly off, or I just cut something wrong. All right, so these are, let's see, 4 by 5 1/4. And this one is I think it's 5 5/8 by 4 1/8. So 5 5/8 by 4 1/8. And this one is 4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to guess. Yeah, this one goes on the inside. So the 4 by 5 1/4 goes on the inside. And the one that is 4 1/8 by 5 5/8 goes on the outside. These items, yep, they're a little bit different also. So I'm pretty certain this one goes, yep. So this one goes on the outside. And this one is, oh golly, 3 and, looks like just under 3 7/8. Let's see. There's so many lines on it. I'm trying to look at the right ones. I'm sorry. 13/16 maybe. So 3 13/16. Man, I think I cut it down is what happened. So, and then this one is 5 1/8. So this one is 3 3/4 by 5. All right, so, whew. And then we have, I just have an oval here. You can use whatever shape. I just wanted to use an oval, and it was just something I already had cut out. So I'll set this over here to the side. I know this is the front. So I'll put that there. And I know this is the inside. And so for the inside, what we're going to do is stamp the butterfly in the Versamark and then do the little speckles. And then we can go ahead and add that to the inside. So we'll do it first. So I'm going to grab my Versamark. Pick this up. Make certain there's nothing on the edge. Down. Up. And just gives you just a little bit of a watermark. There, you can see it better at an angle like that. And then we'll take those little speckles. And just kind of have those go down the side of the page. So it kind of looks like the trail that the butterfly is leaving behind. So it's just something subtle to add to the inside of the card so that it's not just plain. And then we will add this to our inside piece. Just going to add some glue on the corners, and then I like to go along those edges just a little bit. Place this down, and it gives you a nice border all the way around. That ink pad Versamark is a watermark ink. It's tacky, but then you also can add embossing powder to it, and then you can emboss different things. You could use whatever color embossing powder that you want with it, and it gives you a little extra time for the ink so that it doesn't dry so quickly on you. Okay. We'll fold that over again and make certain we crease that once again. Get it to lay flat, and I'll tuck this under the card for our reference. All right, so now we're going to work on that technique. So for this technique, I'm going to bring in scratch paper. I'll do my stamping, and then we'll do all the embossing powder at once. But we're going to use this embossing buddy, and it's just basically, it's got some powder in it. I don't know exactly what kind of powder, but it's just some kind of powder to take the oils from your skin off the cardstock so it doesn't attach to that instead of the ink that you put down. So that's supposed to help keep it from being too much sticky, because your oils are also sticky and it makes the embossing powder adhere to that. So I'm going to take this flower, and I'm going to ink this up. So I'm going to lay the stamp down, and I'm going to bring the ink pad to it. That way you can kind of see where the ink is going. And And then down here along this edge, I can see that I got ink on it, so I'm going to try to wipe that off. And up here along this edge. And then I want to bring that to my card front. I want to make certain my stems go off the page so that it doesn't look like it's floating. I'll give it a moment to take in the ink to it. And I'm going to take the butterfly and ink it up just like I did earlier. I'm going to come up here and put my butterfly about right there. And remove it. I want to look and see if there's going to be any problems. I don't see any. Then we'll take the white embossing powder and pour it all over those images. And I don't see any stray pieces, but you can see it's on there. And then whenever I heat emboss it, it will make it stand out. So I'm going to put this back in the jar. All right, it looks like I got that taken care of. And now we're going to heat this up. So I use a cutting board and then a piece of aluminum foil. I put my item on there. Bring in my heat tool. Now ours, I really like our heat tool. I have others that are not ours, but for when I'm doing my crafting at my desk, I like to use ours because I do really like it. It has two settings. You don't want to hold it at the end because that's where it takes in the air to heat things up. So you want to hold it more towards the center. And then we have this little stand to sit it on so that this doesn't lay on your surface. This is a plastic outside, but the inside gets very, very hot. So you want to turn it on and give it a chance to warm up before you start trying to emboss. While this is running, and I'm not talking, you won't hear anything. But if I talk, it'll be it'll cut in and out. And so, but you'll get the idea what I'm doing and what I'm saying. So here we go. Keep it moving and see it's getting really shiny. That's what you want it to do. And once it starts, you want to keep your heat gun moving so you don't scorch the paper or burn the embossing powder. You can do that, and if you do, it turns back dull and you can't get that shiny back. But you want to be certain and heat all of it. I also like to go from behind and kind of like get it to raise up a little bit. See, it was dull before, and now look how shiny that is. It looks like it's wet, but it's just that embossing powder already melted together. I'll move that out of the way. Give this a chance to cool just a moment. And this piece that we were using before, I'll bring that back in. Make certain there's no embossing powder all over it still. So I'll lay this down and we'll begin. So what I'm going to do is take my white craft ink, and this is a thick kind of tacky ink also. Open this up, and I was doing a project and look at all that blue on there, so I'm really hoping that it does not cause any issues. That's my cardstock rubbed off on that. I'm really hoping that it doesn't. But I can also use my re-inker, so I may do that. So I have some of the ink on this because I don't want to take the chance with that. I can re-ink that and it'll be all right, but I'm just going to put some re-inker in the middle of my block. I don't like to squeeze the lids of my ink pads to get it all in the lid of it, because it just makes it messy and makes it where I will get it all over me. So I try to keep the insides of my lids clean. I'm going to try to clean that up just a little bit. I forgot I had done that since I did this card, so I will take care of that here shortly. And I need to wipe off my embossing my bone folder. Sorry about that. All right, so what I want to do is grab my aqua painter. I'm just going to put a little bit of water right there. I don't want to have too much. I'll dry it off a little bit. And then I'm going to start picking up this white craft ink. And I'm going to start just coloring this in. And it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm not being perfect with it. And then I'm going to do all the image. Just going over all of it. Okay. So then I can try to pick up a little bit of the water that's standing there. And then I'll add just a little bit of my white ink, craft ink over here. It's a little bit thicker. So that's the reason why I watered it down just a little bit to get it started. Okay. Then we're going to kind of go over, still a little bit wet. I didn't dry it all the way. I just puddles of the water I picked up. This is the whitewash technique of it. It's just you're putting white over all the areas. See, I didn't lift up any water off those leaves, and so it's a little bit more thinned out there. I'm gonna get some of that off to kind of like make this a little bit more see-through. Same here. All right, so that looks pretty good. I'll take my paper towel and just squeeze some of that out till it starts running clear. And it has. Clean that up. Cap that off. And I'm going to take my heat gun. It won't take very long for it to evaporate. Whoops. But it's still damp looking, so I'm just going to do a little bit of heat. I don't want to remelt that embossing powder. I just want it to dry just a little bit. And the quicker that it dries, see how it starts turning kind of chalky, and that is the way that that craft ink does. It doesn't stay shiny, but then you can see all the shininess that's the embossing powder, how it shines. All right, so put my lid on my Versamark and move my stamps out of the way. I should be finished with those. And now it's time to make it pop with some colors. So I'm going to use the peach pie. Put it on this one corner. This is how I do things. I'm going to put it on this one corner. I know that's peach pie. I'm going to do the pretty in pink on this corner. And granny apple. I'll put that down on this corner. And then I think I'm going to go with the Highland Heather. I think this started out fresh freesia and I added Highland Heather to the base of it, but I'm going to do things just a little bit different to give you options. Okay, so with this one, I covered all of the flower and all of the leaves, all of the butterfly. But you don't have to do it that way. You could have some of that showing through. I'm going to dry. Just bring it to a tip, but I'm trying to dry it as much as I can. And then I'll pick up our peach pie. And I'm going to add that to the center of this butterfly. I'm not filling it all in. I'm clean my brush and move to the next color. So I'll pick up Pretty in Pink. I'll go from the base and brush my way up. Just adding a little bit of color. And I can go back and pick up some of this and just kind of blend it in together. So like that. Now I want to do the Highland Heather. I'm going to follow the petals and their striping. Pick up some more for the next one. I'm just flicking it up for the striping of the flower. Turn it around so it's easier for me to pull it towards myself than to take it up in the air. So I'm just trying, basically I'm highlighting those lines. And I'm making it darker at the base of the flower, and as it comes to towards the ends of the petal, it's not as dark. Same like that. So I'm going to clear that off. And now it's time to do the green granny apple. Just pulling it towards me. Turn that a little bit. I have more control if I pull it towards me. And as it's drying, then I can pick it up again and go back and make the base a little bit darker. I'm not adding any water to it. I'm trying to keep the bristles a little bit dry. And so there is our flowers. So I'm going to just, not filling that in, I'm just dragging that collar out to the edge a little bit. See, now then the peach pie has really faded. So I'll pick that up and draw that towards me. I want it to have that gradient color to it. You can do this from your ink pad if you want. You can do it from the lid. I just don't like that mess in my ink pad. So that looks really cute. Just adding the little bit darker base at the bottom here. There we go. So I didn't go clear to the edges. I don't know if it'll, there. I did mainly here and just feathered it out, and the tips of it are still white, but it does not look that way. It looks like it has it all on there. And like right here, I can feather that out a little bit more if I need to, and then come in with a little bit darker and add it there, just so that it gives it that, how flowers have a darker center and then they get lighter as they come out. Some of them are lighter in the center and they get darker as they bloom out. So that is our coloring. That is how you do that whitewash. So you put the white kraft ink. All I do is clean that up. You put the white kraft ink on there, and then you just wash it through the whole thing inside your embossing area, and then you take whatever your colors are and you add those in. Okay, so now then I'm going to take my marker here. So I'm going to open this paper up so I cover up more of my area. Lay this in here. So I take my marker, the Stampin' Right markers, and I take the brush tipped in. I open this up, and I try not to be very rough with it because I don't want to break the tip of it. And I just sit it inside the cap, just barely, and then flick. And it leaves splatters in whatever color that you want. And the closer you get, the thicker the splatter. And the farther out you get, the smaller the splatter. See how it's got the speckles all over the area. Okay, and then I'll take, that dries fairly quick, so I'll move this paper off to the side and we'll go to putting this together and doing our other stamping. All right, so I have my oval here, and I have my words, dear friend, in my Highland Feather ink pad. I have a couple extra ovals just in case I do not get this straight. Or in case I get a halo, which I just did there. Stamp that right in the center. Oh, I did a pretty good job of that. And once I have that stamped, I'm going to do the same thing with this. I want to add some speckles just so it's not a stark white. The reason why I'm using white is because the embossed area is white, and where you're doing the whitewash, you could do other colors, but I did it specifically to tie in the white. So I'm finished with this ink. So we're done with all of our inks. So I don't have any on my hands. I'm going to bring in our card base and our layer here. And glue to the corners. I like to do the corners so that it will adhere those down well. Seems like if you aren't, if you don't take care for the corners, it has a tendency to pull up. Okay, and glue is wonderful because if you put it down, you can see if it's straight, and if it's not, you can, if you get it in time, you can slide it around. If you use tape runner, if you're good about getting it placed down correctly, the tape runner is awesome too. I just don't have that good of luck. So I'm going to turn that over. Bring in my dimensionals. I love dimensionals for popping layers up. It gives it some more interest. At least I think that it does. I'm going to turn this sideways, and here's my opening. So I'm going to turn this way so that I can kind of visualize my border around. And I'm not going to press till I'm certain that's where I want it and it looks good. So I'm going to press that down now. If you don't press it, you have time to pull it up. Okay, so that's pretty in itself, but I'm going to add my sentiment. You could stamp your sentiment directly on, but I didn't care for that. I wanted a little something else to help it stand out. I'm going to put that. I want my words to be straight. So like that. I want to bring in a glue dot. Take your pick tool. I love our take your pick tools. I'll fold it over and try to add it right down here on this bottom area. Take my bow, press it down there. Just making certain I did not glue down those edges because I didn't think that I did. Nope. When it's been a few days since you've done the card, it makes it where, did I do that? Did I not? You know, I've made several cards since then, so bring in my, they're called iridescent foil gems. We've got different shapes, or I mean different sizes, not shapes, they're all circles. That one there. And another large one down this way, smaller one kind of up here, over there, and up here. And so that's really pretty the way that it is. But then I always like shimmer. I love to add shimmer and sparkle and things like that to my cards whenever it's warranted. So I'm going to bring this scratch paper back in, lay this down, I'll put my glue away. And then I have these tubes. I don't know if you can see down here at the bottom. It's really milky looking. That has Stella in it. And so you could brush Stella on here if you wanted, but I think it might take some of your ink and like spread it out. So I like to put, see how that just, it has like a sparkle in it. I put about 5 or 6 drops of Stella in this, our spritzer bottles. Then I fill it up the rest of the way with alcohol. Shake and hold it back. I don't know, it's probably about 8 inches, maybe 10, and just spritz it on there. And the more you spritz, the more shimmer you have. Now, this looks dark compared to this one, but as it dries, then it lightens up. I don't know if you could see all the shimmer. Kind of looks like little diamonds speckling, like over here on the, see all that shimmer right up in there as you move it. That's in person, there is so much shimmer and shine on that. So that is our whitewash technique, where you use your white embossing powder and then bring in your white craft ink and wash over your image. Then you bring in all of your colors to just add a little bit of color to it. Now this is more subtle than this one. This one's a little bit darker. Same with this. I made this one just a little bit more subtle. But then I have another one to show you. It doesn't have to be flowers. I did one with our Shepherd's Care, I believe is the name of it. And look how pretty that is. It's just, I used, oh golly. This one here, I did not add any color to the sheep. I did add color. I'm thinking that that might be, Misty Moonlight. And then this one here, I think, is our Gray Granite, I do believe. And so this is Misty Moonlight cardstock. So, and then on the inside, I did my sentiment, and I put the Bethlehem stamp down there. And so I tried doing what our last week's technique was, to use the bleach to bleach it out, and it didn't work out quite as well. So I went back over it and made it a little bit where it's subtle, but not a full image. You know what it is when you see it. But yeah, I put shimmer on this as well. I backed it with our foils. Same with on the inside. And so I thought they turned out really cute. So we've got one that is really bright, bold. This one's just a little bit more subtle. I like that too. And then the one where I use the Shepherd's Care, and I thought that turned out gorgeous. So when I just, stamped the whole image, then I stamped it again on white, trimmed that out, and just put it through the center there. So I think they all turned out gorgeous. So I hope that this technique is something that you would want to try. It is a lot of fun. You can make all kinds of different things. You could do flowers, you could do trees, you could do images such as this one. So you could use it with an array of things. It works great with flowers just because they're so forgiving. I didn't have any issues with this one. either. I found it to be very easy to do. And then I put the speckles on the back of this. I don't know if I use the same ones or if I use the one out of, or if I use that stamp out of the Shepherd's Care, but that's just done with the Versamark as well, so that it gives it that watercolor or watermark technique. Sorry about that. So I did not splatter this one like I did both of these. And then, you know, if the splatter's on there, I don't think it rubs off. So I just thought that this was a really neat idea, really neat way to give your cards that little extra wow. And I think people will be going, how did you do that? So anyway, I hope that this turned out to be something that you would want to try. And if you have any questions or comments, you could leave those into the comment section below the video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so that you don't miss any of my future videos. And in the description below, I also have a link to sign up for my newsletter so that you don't miss any offers that we have going out from Stampin' Up! Or from me. So thank you very much for your time, and thank you for watching. Happy stamping. Bye-bye.